Welcome back to Gab and Gabs. If you're new here, hi. And if you're not new here, hi again. And I'm glad you're back. And I'm glad that you somehow, for some reason, have found me slightly entertaining enough to tune in and give me a view. So thank you very much. For the people that are new here, I'm glad that you're on the good audio train. Because it was a little rough last year. But now with this microphone, my confidence has boosted. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of feel like, okay, girl, your videos aren't as terrible as you thought they were. Because when I watch back my other videos, I'm like, how did people actually watch this with the audio being that bad? But it's 2020, it's a new year, new sound. So anyway, that was an introduction of sorts. So if you are an old subscriber, or if you've somehow stumbled upon my summer haul book video, you would have seen that in that video I explained that I'll only be doing seasonal hauls on this channel. And that's because I actually don't buy a lot of books for myself. And that's because I really try to utilize my library. I try to utilize, what I already have on my shelves and try to read that. I've learned in my adult life I'm not as much of a faster reader as I used to be, which is a little sad for me, but I just don't want to buy books and accumulate and then I feel overwhelmed that I have all these books and the guilt. I don't know. And plus too, I don't really have that, I don't have a designated space for them, aka bookshelf. I have this beautiful TBR cart. I do have another place where I put some of my other books that aren't on the cart or books that I've already read. But I don't have a bookshelf, so I don't want to buy all of these books and stuff, so I'm trying to be very careful about what I do choose to buy. I'm very particular about that, but anyway, that's more information that you needed to know, that you didn't need to know. But since I had a bit of a hiatus at the end of the year, I didn't film my fall book haul, and there's only 4 books on this list, so it's not, it's terrible to even say that's a haul. It's not truly a haul, it's just like an accumulation of 4 books that I were purchased or gifted to me, and I read one of them. One of them's in my end of year review, which I'll link below. And it was okay, let's not say the word terrible, but it wasn't great. So let's just start off with that, and then we'll work into the positive. So here we go. This was my fall 2019 book haul. And this is me pushing myself in the segue. Is Horror Stories by Liz Phair. This was the ARC that I received, which pretty cool, first ARC. Pretty terrible book in general, but cool that I got an ARC, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know what this book is about, it's a memoir by Liz Phair. She was a pretty popular alternative artist in the 90s and early 2000s. I wanted to read this specifically because I had read Daisy Jones and the Six, which is chef's kiss, beautiful, amazing. My best friend's reading it right now and she loves it, which I mean, who wouldn't love that? In fact, I love Daisy Jones and the Six so much. At Barnes & Noble last night, this girl almost chose a terrible book. And I'm not going to say what that book is, but I think I may have saved this girl's life casually. And I recommended Daisy Jones and the Six and she bought Daisy Jones and the Six. So, me out here doing BookTube's work. Anyway, this is not the point. Point is, I read this book. It's missing chapters 14 and 15, so technically I haven't read the entire book, even though I have. But this book focuses on the artist's kind of the worst memories that she had, the worst memories in her life, and the lessons she learned from it. And I actually think it's a pretty cool concept. It's different than, the normal, going through your entire life. I think I was expecting, more stories of her in the music industry in general. And it was more of her personal life. I don't really know her as an artist. I know a couple of her songs, but I don't know her. So I really kind of went into it unbiased. But like I said in my wrap up, a lot of the stories were the same. The chapters were too long and I kind of got annoyed with her. I was ready to put her down, which it's terrible because this is a real life person. But anyway, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Because there were some stories that I did resonate with and I think she did a good job with, but I just don't think this one was for me, and it's a shame because I really do love memoirs. Autobiography is one of my favorite genres, so this was a no. So I'm just gonna put her down nicely. I went on a trip to San Francisco, and the really cool thing is that I love to support independent bookstores. I don't know, there's something about I don't know, you don't get to see much of them nowadays, and obviously we order things online, but there's something about, I don't know, there's something about actually going into a bookstore, roaming around, looking through books, and discovering a book that you want to read, and then you're going to have that memory of like you choosing that book at that bookstore. I don't know. I may sound very nerdish, but I loved it. So when we were in San Francisco, and I mean my significant other, we went to Chinatown in San Fran, and we went to, I have the bookmark, so does this look familiar to anyone in San Fran? Anyway, it's City Lights bookstore. I was very excited about it. It's a famous City Lights bookstore is a famous bookstore in San Francisco, and I was just really excited to go. It was kind of a trek to get there, weirdly enough, but I'm such a nerd, like my boyfriend took pictures of me like outside of it. I was so happy, and he was very kind and actually gifted me a book of my choosing there. I was able to find a book that I'd wanted forever, but I wanted to find a good copy of it, and that's Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Now, if you saw my October TBR, you saw that this was on the books that I wanted to read. Unfortunately, that was when I hit the reading slump and the hiatus, so I didn't get around to reading this one. But this is on my list. Every time I try to show it, I think this is the best time I've tried to show this book, but this is a beautiful cover. I just love the artwork here. I don't know, I think I'm becoming a cover snob where like a good cover for me makes it like, when you see a good cover, you're like, man, that looks good. Anyway, this is Charles Dickens, and he's one of my favorite classic authors. I fell in love with Charles Dickens when reading A Tale of Two Cities, one of my favorite books of all time. I cried. I had to read it for school, and usually that takes the fun out of reading it, but I remember like consumed with A Tale of Two Cities. I like cried at the end, and ever since then, I really have loved Charles Dickens, and so I would like, I've been trying to read ever so often, a couple one of his books, and this has been on the list of books to read. If you don't know the story of Great Expectations, it's about a boy named Pip, and he's in love with this girl, but this girl is in a rich, higher society class, and Pip is not. But mysteriously, Pip gets a benefactor that allows him to be in the same kind of world that girl's in. But just because you have money doesn't mean all your problems go away. So that's all I'll kind of say about that. I just can't wait to actually get into this. The Walt Disney Family Museum, which if you haven't been and if you are in that area, I recommend that you go. I'm a really big Disney freak. I don't know if I've said that on here, but like, look, we've got like Rapunzel, we've got a Pooh Bear. I love Nightmare. I love Disney very much. So that was a real special treat for me to go and see. I love that museum, so if you ever get the chance, I'd recommend going. So anyway, of course, I went to the gift shop, and I was perusing, and I saw they had some books, so of course I chose the books. So they had Alice in Wonderland, but they also had Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and I've actually never read this book, which is crazy because this is one of my favorite stories just in general. But this cover, I don't know, I've never seen this cover. If you have seen, these are penguins, so let me know if you can buy these anywhere else. When I saw this cover, I was like, this is absolutely stunning. But if you can see, it's the moon, like the star, Tinkerbell, the ship, just like, it's absolutely a stunning cover. The most beautiful copy that I've seen. And, the pages are short, but readable. It's just absolutely stunning. And I have kind of been on a Peter Pan kick. Like I've been wanting to read this book in particular. Murphy from Murphy's Books, I think that's her YouTube name, but I'll link it below. This is her favorite class. I think it's her favorite book of all time, but I think it's definitely her favorite classic. But if you don't know the premise of the story, it's about a boy, Peter Pan, lives in Neverland, never grows up, pirates, Tinkerbell, Wendy, adventures, chaos ensues, flying, yeah. I remember being in love with the movie with Jeremy Sumpter, if you know what I'm talking about, back in the day. Oh my gosh, I loved that film. I thought that boy was the cutest boy in the world. But I love just Peter Pan in general. I love the movie Finding Neverland. I just like the story of Peter Pan, and I just can't believe I've never read it. But now that I have this beautiful edition, can't wait to dive in. Okay, and so the last book I have, I actually thrifted. Technically, one of my local bookstores is like a thrifted bookstore, so it's a discounted bookstore. So I had seen this book for a while, and I've been wanting to read it for a while, but I was like, I never picked it up. I never wanted to pay full price for it. And then I saw it there and it was a hardcover, so I decided to get it. The book is The Pact by Jodi Picoult. This is a backlisted title, so nothing new. I'm going to let you know the premise, and I'm going to tell you the trigger warnings beforehand. I have watched, there's a Lifetime movie on this, so it may sound maybe somewhat familiar. I think it was like back in the early 2000s, maybe possibly 90s. So just so you know. But the premise of the story is about two families that are neighbors, and they basically became like really good friends, super close, almost like family. And one family had a boy and one family had a girl, and they basically all grew up together. And eventually the boy and the girl of each family become, a couple. And, the families are obviously delighted. That would mean like if they were to get married, they would actually be family. But one night, it turns out that the boy comes home and the girl doesn't, and the boy explains that the girl committed suicide and they had a suicide pact, but he just couldn't go through with it. So then the rest of the book is trying to deal with the fact of, did our daughter really commit suicide? Like, she never mentioned any of this beforehand, and now the families that were so close before are now getting torn apart as they try to unravel what happened that night. So obviously there are trigger warnings for suicide. So I just want to put that out beforehand, because if that's triggering for anyone, I would hate for them to pick up this book. What I don't like about the cover, if I'm going to be honest with you, is that it does say a love story. And so if you just picked it up and didn't read the dust jacket that has the description, and if that was something that was triggering for you, that would kind of be like, ooh, yikes, like I wasn't expecting that. So I want to be clear beforehand. That's why I really gave you the description. I'm telling you beforehand that's something, because I would hate to put a book on my channel and not say a trigger warning and that be triggering for someone, and like, hate to do that. I would never want to do that. So I'm just letting you guys know now, in all seriousness, that like that's a trigger warning. So just take that. Just if that's something that you don't want to pick up, then, or don't want to read, I would not pick this up. But yeah, I picked this up because I really did like My Sister's Keeper, and I like how the book ended, and I liked how the author tackled some pretty big details there. I remember I read that book in high school, so I thought this would be interesting to see on this case. I don't know how it's going to go. This is obviously a heavy subject matter, but I feel like you're going to have to be in a type of mood, a serious one. This is not a light issue, so yeah, but it's something that I've been wanting to read, and so I got it. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book in particular, so I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to read it. But it depends. It's going to have to be the right place at the right time. That was it. I really ended on like a somber note on that one, but I don't think I've ever talked about a book that had such a serious subject matter, so that's why I wanted to be very clear beforehand. But yeah, that was it. Those were all the books I got during the fall time. One was a dud, and the other two were classics, and one is a contemporary. So we'll see. But yeah, that was the entire video. Literally nothing. Nothing exciting. Nothing new. Yeah. I think my winter one will be better, but yeah, but I'll let you know how these books go. Hopefully I actually like read them this year, but we're early in the year, so anything's possible. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for not leaving hate comments. Appreciate that. Okay, well, I'll see you in the next video. My name is Gabon Gabs. It was nice to meet you. I just burped. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.